sometimes the quietest moments speak the loudest. Episode 2 of Heartland Season 19 opens not with chaos, but with silence, the kind that settles deep inside your chest. You can almost feel the weight of everything unsaid between the characters. Amy stands in the barn, sunlight spilling through the cracks, dust dancing in the air. It's peaceful, but heavy. The horses shift restlessly, sensing her unease. This isn't just another day at Heartland. It's the beginning of a new emotional storm. A storm that will test every bond, every memory, and every promise this family has ever made. Because in Heartland, healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about learning to live with the cracks and finding beauty in them. The episode starts with a stillness that feels almost unnatural. Heartland Ranch looks as breathtaking as ever, the rolling fields, the crisp morning light, and that comforting rhythm of hooves striking the dirt. But beneath all that beauty lies tension. Amy walks out to the paddock, her eyes distant, lost somewhere between the past and the present. It's been months since she truly smiled, and though she tells everyone she's fine, her silence says otherwise. She approaches a new horse, a restless, uneasy creature brought to Heartland for training. Its eyes dart nervously, mirroring Amy's own uncertainty. As she reaches out her hand, the horse flinches back. The moment feels small, but it's powerful. It's as if the show is reminding us that healing for both human and animal doesn't happen in a single touch. It takes patience, trust, and time. Nearby, Jack watches from a distance. His weathered face softens, pride and worry mixing in his eyes. He knows Amy better than anyone else. He can see that she's holding everything in, but he also knows not to push. In Heartland, love isn't loud or demanding. It's quiet. It's about showing up every day, even when it hurts inside the house. Lou rushes through breakfast already on her phone, juggling a dozen responsibilities at once. Her world feels like the opposite of Amy's, full of noise, deadlines, and decisions that never seem to end. She talks about a new project, a council meeting. Something about improving the community, but her tone is sharp, restless. You can tell she's fighting her own battles too, as the camera pans out. The music swells, soft piano notes blending with the sounds of the ranch. It's a breathtaking reminder of what Heartland does best, making you feel something real without needing words. The episode uses its opening minutes to show us that life here is beautiful, but also fragile. Amy looks out over the fields one more time. The wind stirs her hair, and for a fleeting second, you see a flicker of peace cross her face. But it doesn't last. She turns away, lost in thought, and we know that something's coming. Something that will challenge everything she's been holding on to. Because in Heartland, peace never lasts long. And sometimes, quiet before the storm is the most dangerous part of all. Amy Fleming has always been the heart of Heartland. But in this episode, her heart feels heavy, burdened by ghosts that no one else can see. The morning light paints her face in soft gold as she walks the familiar path to the stables. Everything looks the same fences, the same horses, the same open sky, yet everything feels different. The air around her carries memories, and each step seems to echo with the weight of what she's lost and what she's afraid to lose again. The horse she's been asked to train this week, a young gelding named Shadow, is wild-eyed and unpredictable. His owner says he refuses to be ridden, that he flinches at even the gentlest touch. Amy knows that kind of fear, the kind that doesn't come from pain, but from memory. She sees herself in that horse, broken but not beyond repair. There's something hauntingly poetic about the way she moves around him, slow, careful, patient. Every breath she takes feels like an apology to herself for not healing faster. In one scene, Amy stands in the round pen, watching Shadow pace in circles. The camera lingers on her face, calm on the surface, but her eyes are oceans of emotion. She whispers, "It's okay," not to the horse, but to herself. The show doesn't need dialogue here. The silence says everything. Heartland has always been about more than just horses. It's about the quiet conversations between the soul and the heart, the kind you can't put into words. Later, Jack finds her still out there long after sunset. The barn lights glow behind her, casting a soft halo around her figure. He doesn't say much, just hands her a cup of coffee and stands beside her. That's their language. No lectures, no long speeches, just being there. Jack looks at her with that fatherly mix of pride and concern. He tells her softly, "You can't fix everything, Amy." She smiles faintly, eyes glistening, and says, "Maybe not, but I can try." It's a small line, but it hits like thunder. That's Amy. Even in her quietest moments, she's fighting. Not against anyone else, but against the ache of her own heart. By the end of the day, there's progress. Shadow lets her touch his mane, his trembling finally easing. It's a tiny victory, but it feels monumental. It's as if both Amy and Shadow took their first step toward healing together. The music swells softly as she leans against the fence, watching the sunset melt into the fields. You can almost feel her beginning to breathe again, even if it's just for a moment. But the camera doesn't let us rest easy. It lingers on her face, thoughtful, uncertain. Because healing in Heartland never comes without pain. And Amy's story, as we're about to learn, is far from over. The storm inside her may have calmed for now, but the horizon is already darkening. While Amy wrestles with the silence of her soul, Lou is trapped in a storm of noise. Her days move too fast, phone buzzing, meetings lined up, everyone needing something from her. She's a mayor, a mother, a sister, and somehow still trying to be the glue that holds the Heartland family together. But in episode 2, we see the cracks starting to show. The episode gives us one of Lou's most vulnerable storylines in a while. Early on, she's seen rushing through the kitchen, papers in hand, phone on speaker, trying to balance breakfast with a town budget discussion. Her voice is sharp, her tone brittle. She's not angry at anyone, just exhausted. You can feel it in the way she sighs when no one's looking. She wants to do right by everyone, but she's realizing that sometimes love and leadership don't go hand in hand. Later, as she sits across from Jack in the living room, still half distracted by her phone, he tells her she's missing out on moments that won't come back. The little ones, like Lindy's laughter, or the way the light hits the ranch at sunset. Lou brushes it off, but the hurt lingers. Jack's words hang in the air long after he leaves the room. Then comes one of the most powerful scenes of the episode. Lou attends a community meeting, trying to push through a proposal she truly believes in, one meant to bring progress to Hudson. But as the townsfolk question her motives, her calm mask begins to slip. Their doubts sting more than she admits. It's not just about politics, it's about belonging. Lou's always been torn between two worlds, the ranch that raised her and the ambitions that drive her. And this episode captures that tug-of-war perfectly. When she returns home that evening, she finds Amy sitting by the barn, quiet as ever. For a moment, Lou wants to reach out, to talk about how heavy it all feels. But she doesn't. Instead, she just sits beside her sister, both of them saying nothing. That silence between them is loaded to women, carrying different weights. Bound by the same love, in a later scene, Lou gazes out the window while folding laundry. The camera focuses on her reflection, tired eyes, forced smile. The kind of look you wear when you're trying to convince yourself you're fine. The show doesn't dramatize her burnout. It just lets it live there quietly. It's like a truth she hasn't spoken yet by the end of the episode. Lou stands on the porch, phone in hand, the night wind brushing her hair. She hesitates before turning it off just for a moment and looks out into the dark fields. There's a kind of peace in that silence. The same peace Amy has been searching for. But as the porch light flickers and fades, it feels symbolic, as if Heartland itself is reminding Lou that no matter how strong she tries to be, she can't hold everything together forever, because sometimes even the strongest hearts need a place to rest. Tim Fleming has always been a storm, unpredictable, loud, and too proud to admit when he's wrong. But in episode 2, the storm quiets. What's left behind isn't peace. It's reflection, and maybe regret. The episode opens on Tim alone in the stables before dawn. The light is dim, the kind that turns everything gray. He moves slowly, cleaning the stalls with deliberate care. For a man who's spent his life trying to prove something, this simple act feels different, almost like penance. The camera lingers on his face, and you can see years of guilt carved into those lines. This isn't the brash, impulsive Tim we used to know. This is a man finally facing the echo of every mistake he's made. Throughout the episode, Tim's story runs parallel to Amy's, two generations trying to heal in their own ways. Where Amy finds healing in silence, Tim finds it in action. He throws himself into fixing fences, repairing the truck, helping wherever he can. But it's not really about work. It's about distraction. Because if he keeps moving, maybe he won't have to think about how far he's drifted from the people who matter most. Then comes a scene that hits hard. Tim tries to reconnect with his son, Shane. The conversation starts casual, small talk about horses and work, but it doesn't stay that way. Shane brings up the past, the years Tim missed, the promises broken. The air thickens with unspoken pain. Tim tries to explain, but words fail him. The truth is, apologies don't come easy to a man who's spent a lifetime running from them. The camera holds on his face as he finally whispers, "I can't change who I was, but I'm trying to be better now." It's raw. It's honest. And for the first time in a long while, Tim feels human, not just stubborn or strong, but deeply, painfully human. Later that evening, he finds himself sitting by Jack's truck, watching the sun dip below the hills. Jack joins him, silent at first. Two old friends, two fathers, two men who've made more mistakes than they can count. Jack doesn't scold him. He never does. Instead, he says, "You don't have to fix everything, Tim, you just have to show up." And that line, simple but powerful, becomes the emotional core of Tim's arc this episode. By the end, see Tim doing exactly that. He joins Amy and Lou at dinner, hesitant but present. The family's laughter feels awkward at first, like a song that's forgotten its rhythm. But slowly it softens. There's no dramatic reconciliation, no tearful speeches. Just the quiet understanding that sometimes redemption isn't about grand gestures, it's about staying, listening, and trying again tomorrow. As the episode fades out, Tim steps outside and looks toward the barn lights flickering in the distance. There's a faint smile on his face. It's touched with sadness, but also hope. Because in Heartland, redemption isn't found in forgetting the past. It's found in finally facing it and choosing to love despite the scars. Every great story has its heartbeat, and sometimes it isn't the main characters who keep it alive. In episode 2 of Heartland Season 19, it's the quiet moments from the supporting cast that make the world of Heartland feel so alive, so heartbreakingly real. Take Katie, for instance. She's growing up fast, too fast. There's a scene where she sits on the fence rail watching Amy train Shadow. The way she looks at her aunt isn't just admiration, it's curiosity. She's trying to understand the world through Amy's calmness. In her eyes, horses are not just animals. They're mirrors of emotion. Later, she tries to help, offering to feed Shadow, but the horse backs away. The small disappointment on her face says more than any line of dialogue could. It's her first taste of what Amy knows too well, that trust is earned slowly. Patience is the price of connection. Then there's Lindy, Amy's daughter. Her innocence brings light to every heavy moment. There's a scene where she runs through the fields, laughter echoing against the wind, chasing after a foal that doesn't want to be caught. It's a simple, fleeting moment, but it matters. It reminds us that even in the middle of pain, life keeps blooming. Lindy's laughter is the sound of hope, the kind that sneaks up on you when you've forgotten what it feels like to smile. Lisa, ever the quiet force beside Jack, has her own subtle arc this episode. She doesn't say much, but her presence fills every room she's in. When she watches Jack from the porch, her eyes speak volumes. Love mixed with worry. She knows the weight he carries for everyone in that house. In one brief but telling moment, she reaches out and straightens the collar of his jacket before he heads to the barn. It's a gesture so simple, yet so intimate. A lifetime of love compressed into a single touch. Heartland has always thrived on these wordless moments. The kind that remind us that love doesn't always need to be declared to be felt. And then there's Georgie. Even though she's not always physically present, her absence still echoes through the ranch. Her name comes up in small conversations like a breeze that passes through, but never stays. It's a reminder that even when people drift away, they leave behind pieces of themselves, memories that linger in the quiet corners of Heartland. Even Caleb, often the show's comic relief, gets a moment of unexpected depth. When he helps Tim fix the fence, there's a brief pause where he looks up and says, "You ever feel like you keep fixing things that just break again?" It's casual, almost offhand, but you can tell it lands deeper for both men. It's one of those lines Heartland slips in softly, but it stays with you long after. By weaving these smaller stories together, the episode reminds us that Heartland isn't just about one person's healing. It's about how everyone's quiet struggles connect. Each character carries a different piece of the same truth, that love, loss, and forgiveness live side by side. Under the same endless Alberta sky, as the sun sets at the end of the day, the ranch glows in gold. The camera pulls back, showing everyone in their own little worlds, Amy brushing shadow, Lou working late by the window, Jack sitting with his coffee, Katie and Lindy chasing fireflies. No one's talking, but somehow they're all saying the same thing. That family isn't just people you live with. It's the feeling of being held. Even when life feels too heavy to carry alone, every episode of Heartland carries a heartbeat beneath the dialogue, a rhythm of emotions that speak louder than words. But episode 2 of season 19 feels different. It doesn't just tell a story, it breathes it. The whole hour plays like a quiet symphony, where silence becomes the language of healing, and nature becomes the canvas of emotion. At its core, this episode is about forgiveness, not the kind you ask for, but the kind you give to yourself. Amy's scenes with Shadow mirror her inner struggle perfectly. Every time she approaches him, we see her trying to tame not just a frightened horse, but her own pain. The round pen becomes a symbol of her mind, a circle she keeps walking, trying to find a way out of the past. And when Shadow finally lets her touch him, it's not just a training victory. It's an emotional release, the moment where two broken souls recognize each other and decide to try again. The horses, as always, are the storytellers in disguise. Their reactions, flinches, movements, sighs, reflect what the humans can't say. Shadows, fear, Spartan's quiet watchfulness. Even the distant neighs from the fields, all of it feels intentional. Like nature itself is whispering truths the characters aren't ready to hear. Heartland has always treated animals as mirrors, not props. And in this episode, they reflect humanity at its most fragile. Then there's the weather, a silent character of its own. Notice how the skies shift throughout the episode. The soft morning gold, the gray midday haze, and finally the burning red sunset that bathes the ranch in light and shadow. It's poetic visual storytelling. The day mirrors Amy's journey from numbness to warmth. By the end, the horizon looks both peaceful and restless, like hope and heartbreak living side by side. The theme of control also runs deep here. Lou's story contrasts sharply with Amy's. While Amy learns to let go, Lou tries to hold everything together. Her phone, her meetings, her constant motion all become symbols of control she can't truly keep. The episode subtly tells us that sometimes peace doesn't come from managing the world, but from surrendering to it. And then, it's time one of the quietest but strongest forces in Heartland. The show doesn't rush its characters. It lets them breathe, lets them hurt, lets them wait. Time in this world isn't an enemy. It's a slow healer. You can see it in the way Jack pauses before speaking, or in how Amy stares at the horizon before walking away. Every pause is deliberate. Every silence means something. But perhaps the most powerful symbol of all is the ranch itself. Heartland has never been just a place. It's a soul that holds everyone's memories. The walls remember laughter and loss. The land carries the weight of every step that's ever been taken on it. When the camera drifts across the fields at sunset, it feels almost spiritual, as if the land itself is forgiving everyone who's walked on it. By the time the credits roll, you realize the episode isn't really about what happened, it's about what changed. Not through words, not through conflict, but through understanding. Through stillness, through grace. Because that's the secret of Heartland. It doesn't show you life as you wish it to be. It shows you life as it is. Messy, quiet, painful, beautiful. A mosaic of heartbreak and hope. As the sun sinks behind the rolling Alberta hills. Episode 2 brings Heartland to one of its most emotionally charged endings in recent memory. It's not dramatic in the traditional sense. No shouting, no grand revelations. Instead, it's quiet, still honest. The kind of ending that feels like an exhale after a long, heavy day. The final scene unfolds in the barn, the same place where so many of Heartland's stories begin and end. Amy stands beside Shadow, the horse that once refused to be touched. The dim light flickers, catching the soft shimmer of hay dust in the air. She reaches out, and this time, Shadow doesn't move away. He lets her rest her hand on his neck, breathing in rhythm with her. The camera stays close, no music, just the sound of their shared breath. It's a simple moment, but in Heartland, simplicity is everything.